In the marble lobby of Heart Biotech, 6-year-old Leia stood frozen among dozens of rushing employees. Her small body trembled. Tears streamed down her face, but no sound came out. She was silent in her terror. A man in a janitor's uniform, mop still in hand, approached her slowly. His hands moved in deliberate signs. "Don't touch my child." The voice tore through the crowd. Amelia Hart, CEO of the company, charged effort and blocked him with her body, but the man didn't stop signing. "Anthony?" Impossibly, Leia's hands lifted. She signed back.
"I'm okay."
The lobby fell silent. Everyone stared. Amelia Hart was 32 years old and the youngest CEO in the biotech industry. She had built Heart Biotech into a giant, a company known for cutting-edge medical innovation. But her success came at a price. A year ago, a lab explosion in her facility had killed her husband David and left her daughter Leia without a voice. The trauma had stolen the little girl's ability to speak. Doctors said it was psychological. Time might heal it, or it might not. Since that day, Amelia had changed. She became colder, sharper, obsessed with control. She built walls around herself and around Leia. No one got close. No one was allowed to. She told herself it was protection. She placed a T-place, but deep down she knew it was fear. Fear of losing someone again. Fear of not being enough. Leia was a quiet child now. Not by choice, but by circumstance. She attended a private school with round-the-clock security. She had therapists, tutors, and caregivers, but none of them could reach her. She lived in a world of silence, and Amelia didn't know how to pull her out. Every night, Amelia sat by her daughter's bed and watched her sleep. She whispered apologies into the dark. She blamed herself for the explosion, for not being there, for not protecting David, for not saving Leia's voice. The guilt was a weight she carried every hour of every day. Ethan Cole was 36 years old and hemmed floors in the building where Amelia ruled. But that wasn't who he used to be. 5 years ago, Ethan had been a speech therapist and a tech innovator. He had founded a company called SignLink, which developed an AI system that translated sign language into spoken words in real time. It was revolutionary. It gave voice to the voiceless. His wife Grace had been a teacher for deaf children. She believed in his work. She believed in him. Together they were going to change the world. But then Apex Dynamics, a corporate giant, came in as a partner. They promised funding, distribution, global reach. Ethan trusted them. He signed papers he didn't fully read. Anthony, overnight, they took everything. They claimed ownership of the technology through a contract clause Ethan hadn't noticed. They locked him out of his own creation. The legal battle drained him. He lost his company, his savings, his reputation. The media called him a fraud. A man who had tried to steal his own invention. Grace couldn't bear it, the shame, the betrayal, the collapse of everything they had built. One night she took her own life. Ethan found her in the morning. His world ended that day. He was left with his 8-year-old son, Ben, and nothing else. No money, no career, no future. He took the only job he could find, janitorial work. He told himself it was temporary, but temporary became months, then years. He scrubbed floors in the same buildings where people like him used to walk with briefcases and badges. He became invisible. And maybe that was easier. Ben never complained. The boy was resilient, smart, and kind. He learned sign language from his mother before she died, and he still practiced it every day. Ethan was proud of him. But the guilt never left. He had failed Grace, he had failed his dream, and some days he wasn't sure he deserved to keep going. 2 worlds, a woman at the top end, a man at the bottom, and one little girl who couldn't speak standing between them. After the scene in the lobby, Amelia's first instinct was to protect. She ordered security to keep that man away from her daughter. She didn't care who he was. He had no right to approach Leia. But that night, Leia did something she hadn't done in months. She wrote on a piece of paper and handed it to her mother. "He understands me." Amelia stared at the words. Her chest tightened. She wanted to dismiss it, but she couldn't because she had seen it too. The way Leia had stopped crying the moment the man signed to her. The way her daughter had signed back, something Amelia hadn't even known she could do. The next morning, Amelia reviewed the security footage. She watched the moment again and again. The man's hands moved with precision, with purpose. He wasn't guessing. He was fluent. And then she noticed something else. The signs used weren't standard ASL. They were part of a specialized system, one designed for children with trauma-induced mutism. It was a system she had researched a year ago, desperately looking for anything that could help Leia, but she had found almost nothing except one name. Signlink 1, a prototype that had never been released to the public. She pulled janitorial staff records. Ethan Cole, 36 years old. No criminal history, employment references from 3 other buildings. Standard background check. Nothing unusual. But Amelia didn't stop there. She ran his name through a deeper search. And that's when she found it. News articles from 5 years ago. Tech innovator Ethan Cole accused of patent fraud. Signlink founder loses company in legal battle. The voice maker who fell from grace. She read every article. She saw his face in older photos, clean-cut, smiling, standing next to a woman and a young boy. She read about the suicide of his wife. She read about the collapse of his company. And she read about Apex Dynamics. Her hands went cold. Apex Dynamics. She knew that name. Hard Biotech had purchased an AI communication system from them 2 years ago. It was integrated into their medical devices for patients with speech disabilities. The system was called Voxbridge. But the core technology, the underlying algorithm Wasamething Apex had acquired from a smaller company, a company they had absorbed and dismantled. Amelia opened her acquisition files. She found the original contract. And there it was .Link Technologies purchased by Apex Dynamics, rights transferred. Original founder Ethan Cole. She sat in her office until midnight, staring at the documents. The man who mopped her floors had invented the technology her company was built on, and she hadn't known. The world hadn't known. He had been erased. That night she couldn't sleep. She stood in Leia's doorway and watched her daughter breathe softly in the dark. She thought about the man in the lobby, about the way he had looked at Leia. Not with pity, not with curiosity, but with understanding. Seeing her daughter not as broken, but as someone who needed to be heard. And for the first time in a year, Leia had been heard. Amelia didn't know what to do with that. But she knew she couldn't ignore it. She asked herself a question she had been avoiding for too long. I once gave a voice to the voiceless. What is he trying to say to me now? 2 days later, Amelia made a decision. She drove to the address listed in Ethan's file. It was a workers' housing complex in the edge of the city, a cluster of small, worn-out apartments. She brought Leia with her. She told herself it was because she wanted to see who this man really was. But part of her knew it was because Leia wanted to see him too. When Ethan opened the door, his face showed surprise. Then something softer behind him. Ben stood in the living room, shy but curious. The apartment was small and simple. The furniture was old but clean. There were books on the shelves, most of them about language and therapy. On the kitchen table, a stack of drawings, Ben's drawings. One of them showed 2 hands signing the word hope. Leia stepped inside without hesitation. She walked straight to Ben and the 2 children looked at each other. Then Ben lifted his hands and signed. Nice to meet you. Leia's face lit up. She signed back slowly, carefully. Thank you. Amelia stood in the doorway, frozen. She hadn't seen her daughter smile like that in a year. Ethan gestured to the couch. Please sit. His voice was quiet, steady. Amelia Saturday, she didn't know what to say. She had come here with questions. But now, sitting in this humble space, they felt too sharp, too intrusive. The sky outside darkened. Rain began to fall softly at first, then harder. Ethan checked his phone. The bridge is flooded, he said. It happens when it rains like this. It'll take a few hours to clear. Amelia tensed. She hadn't planned to stay, but Leia was sitting on the floor with Ben, drawing together, signing to each other in a way that looked like a conversation. She couldn't take that away from her. We can wait, she said. Ethan made soup from potatoes and carrots. He toasted bread and brewed tea. It was simple, but was warm. They ate together at the small table. Leah laughed. It was a soundless laugh, but it was real. Amelia felt something crack inside her chest after the children were asleep on the couch, wrapped in blankets. Amelia and Ethan sat across from each other in the dim light. The rain drummed against the windows. "Who are you really?" Amelia asked. Ethan looked at her for a long moment. "I'm someone who used to believe that silence could still speak," he said. "Now I'm just learning how to live again." Amelia swallowed. "I read about you, about what happened." Ethan nodded slowly. "Then you know more than most people do? Why didn't you fight back?" she asked. "Why didn't you tell the world what they did to you?" Ethan's gaze drifted to the window. "Because fighting back wouldn't bring her back. And it wouldn't give me my son's childhood back, so I let it go." "But you lost of everything." "I lost what I thought mattered," Ethan said. "I still have Ben." "That's enough." They sat in silence for a long time. The rain was the only sound. Amelia realized she hadn't felt this kind of stillness in years. It wasn't empty. It was full of things that didn't need to be said. When she finally spoke, her voice was softer. "My daughter hasn't smiled like that since her father died." Ethan looked at her. "She's strong. Stronger than she knows." "How do you know that?" "Because she's still trying," he said. "Even in the silence, she's still reaching out." Amelia's eyes burned. She looked away. "I don't know how to reach back." Ethan leaned forward slightly. "You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to be there. That's all she needs." Amelia nodded, unable to speak. Outside, the ring continued. Inside, two broken people sat together, sharing a pain they didn't need to name. The next morning, the rain stopped. The bridge reopened. Amelia thanked Ethan and took Leah home, but her mind was racing. She couldn't stop thinking about what she had learned, about the contract, about the technology, about the man who had been erased. She went to her office and pulled the internal files. She searched for every document related to Voxbridge. She found the acquisition report. She found the patent transfer. And then she found something that made her blood run cold. The signature on the transfer contract was Ethan's, but it was dated 3 days after his wife's death. She had spent years in corporate law. She knew exactly what that signature meant. No one, in their right mind, would relinquish everything they had worked for just 3 days after losing the person they loved most. Her eyes narrowed as she leaned closer, scrutinizing the document. The signature didn't match the ones on his earlier contracts. It was eerily close, almost perfect, but not identical. Amelia sank back into her chair, her chest tightening. Ethan hadn't signed that. Someone had forged it. Apex Dynamics had stolen his groundbreaking technology, and Heart Biotech, her company, her empire, had unknowingly built a fortune on that theft. She felt her stomach twist. Part of the empire she had spent years constructing, brick by brick, was built on a lie that had shattered a man's life. She printed every single document, her hands trembling slightly. Carefully, methodically, she locked them in her office safe. Then she sank into the darkness of her office, the city lights outside her window flickering like distant stars. All her life she had believed she was creating something meaningful, something that genuinely helped people. But now she realized how easily good intentions could be built atop a foundation of deceit. And for the first time, she didn't know what to do next. That night, she found herself in Leah's room again. Her daughter lay asleep, small hands tucked gently under her chin, the rise and fall of her chest a delicate rhythm. Amelia's mind drifted to Ethan. She remembered the way he had looked at Leah, patient, tender, as though her silence was not a problem to fix, but a language to understand. She thought about the janitor who had swept her floors for years, invisible to everyone else, carrying unseen burdens, unnoticed yet enduring. And she thought about her company, prospering from a dream that wasn't his, from work that had been stolen. A decision took root inside her. She didn't know yet how she would act, but she knew one thing. She couldn't walk away, not from Ethan, not from the truth. 3 days later, a video went viral. 7 seconds. Grainy security footage from the lobby. It showed Ethan reaching toward Leia. The caption screamed, "Janitor touches CEO's child without permission." Number, "Hands off my child," someone had added. The video was a lie. Edited, manipulated. The moments where Leia had signed back, where she had smiled, were excised. All that remained was a man seemingly reaching for a child and a mother in apparent panic. The clip spread like wildfire. Within hours, millions had seen it. Comments exploded. "Fire him. Arrest him. How could a company allow this?" News outlets picked it up. Heart Biotech's PR team went into overdrive. Amelia's phone rang endlessly. The board demanded a statement. Legal demanded an investigation. She tried to explain, to tell the truth, but no one listened. The video had shaped a narrative too neat, too tempting. A predator, a victim, a mother's rage. The truth didn't matter. Damage was done. Security enacted the company's no-contact policy. Ethan was placed on administrative leave, banned from the building. Amelia fought, arguing, insisting he had done nothing wrong, but the board's response was cold and unwavering. "We have to protect the company's image. We can't take risks." Then the news escalated. Janitor accused of approaching child has dark past. Former CEO claims Ethan Cole fabricated research data. Vague wording. Anonymous sources, legal loopholes, but the message was unmistakable. Ethan was painted as dangerous. Amelia traced the leaks. Every trail led back to one source, Apex Dynamics. They had orchestrated it. The video, the stories, they were weapons aimed to destroy him, to ruin him a second time. And Leia was the collateral. Her anger crystallized into something cold and precise. She summoned her security team. They traced every access point to the lobby cameras. A contractor badge. Planted weeks ago by Apex, someone had waited, watched, and struck when Ethan approached Leia. Calculated, cruel, effective. Paparazzi began following Leia to school, camping outside their home. Amelia hired more security, but the attention didn't stop. Her daughter was being hunted for a story that wasn't real. One afternoon, the school called. A crowd had gathered. Leia was trapped. Amelia raced through the gridlocked streets, clutching her phone, watching the live stream helplessly. There she was on the school steps, small and trembling, hands pressed over her ears, surrounded by flashing cameras and shouting reporters. Then, impossibly, Ethan appeared. He surged through the chaos, disregarding security, and knelt before Leia. He shielded her with his body. Slowly, deliberately, he signed, "Breathe with me. You're safe." Leia's eyes met his. Her hands lifted, signing back, "I'm scared." "I know," he signed. "But I'm here. Just breathe." The crowd closed in. Security grabbed Ethan, but he didn't resist. His eyes never left Leia's. He continued signing even as they pulled him away. "You're brave. You're safe." A photographer captured it all. A man restrained. A child reaching. Amelia arrived too late, leaping from her car. She held Leia tight, shielding her, yet her gaze remained on Ethan, calm on the ground, hands behind his back. In that moment, Amelia understood this wasn't random. This was deliberate. Someone was trying to destroy them both. And she was done letting it happen. She lifted Leia, strode to Ethan, and extended her hand. Surprised, he took it. Amelia pulled him to his feet, in front of every camera, every lens, every reporter, and announced, loud enough for the world to hear, "This man saved my daughter twice." Flashes erupted. Headlines would follow, but she didn't care. For the first time, they stood on the same side. That night, Amelia convened an emergency meeting in her office. She demanded unedited security footage, traced all leaks, analyzed every false report. The picture became clear. The campaign was orchestrated by Apex Dynamics. Every story, every smear, every viral video, they were trying to bury the truth, to crush anyone who threatened them. Amelia drove through the rain to Ethan's apartment. She knocked. He opened the door, weary, wary. "You shouldn't be here." "They'll twist it," he said quietly. "Let them," she replied, handing him a USB drive. "Everything they set you up. The video. The stories. The forged contract. They stole Signlink. They've tried to bury you ever since. Ethan looked at the drive but didn't take it.
I know, he said. You know?
Amelia asked, blinking. I've known for years, he said quietly. But I can't fight them. I don't have the resources. All I have is my son. I won't risk him. Then let me fight for you, Amelia said, rain dripping from her coat. Eyes fierce, determined, desperate, he shook his head. You'll lose everything. I already lost everything once, she said. I know what it costs. I'm willing to pay it. They stared at each other. Silence stretched. He asked why. She told him, because you saved my daughter. And because my company is built on what they stole from you. I cannot live with that. Ethan's jaw tightened. I don't want revenge. I just want her to stop being afraid of silence. Amelia nodded. Then help me give her that. But her phone rang. The hospital. Leia had been rushed to the ER panic attack. Severe. Doctors couldn't communicate with her. Amelia's hands shook. Ethan saw it. Without a word, he grabbed his jacket. Drive. And she did dot in the chaos of the Leia thrashed, silent, trapped in terror. Amelia tried to reach her. She saw it was impossible. Ethan stepped forward. Slowly, calmly, he signed. You are safe? I am here. Breathe with me. Leia saw his hands. She mirrored them, shaky at first, then steadily. Her chest rose and fell. Scared, she signed. I know. He smiled gently. You are brave. Stronger than fear. It will stop. You are safe. Her heart rate slowed. Her hand met his. Tears streamed, but her breathing steadied. Thank you, she signed. You're welcome, brave girl. Amelia leaned against the wall, letting herself break. Ethan stayed nearby, silent. When she looked at him, she said softly, You did something no doctor could. Not me, he said. She just needed someone to listen with their hands. Amelia shook her head. I thought I was protecting her. But I was only making her more alone. Now you know, he said. I'll teach you how to reach her. In that moment, Amelia stopped running. She would fight not just for Ethan, not just for Leia, but for truth, justice, and for a voice stolen too long. 2 weeks later, Amelia held a press conference. Every major outlet was there. The board threatened her, but she ignored them. She stood at the podium in sleek black, documents and contracts projected behind her. 5 years ago, a man named Ethan Cole invented a technology to give voice to the voiceless. It was stolen. Heart Biotech unknowingly purchased that stolen technology from Apex Dynamics. I did not know this until recently. Now I cannot stay silent.